Yo guys, what's going on? Robert Warshack here, and we've got some new legendary cards from the new mini expansion, The Maw. We actually have the two, like, Sylvanas versus the Jailer already out. The two probably biggest legendaries in this mini set have been already revealed to us. The first one, we have Sylvanas here. 6 mana, 5/5, battle cry, destroy an enemy minion, infuse 7, and you get to take control of it instead. And then obviously her infused version looks kind of dank. As we know, the old Sylvanas from the very first set was a 6 mana, 5/5 death rattle, randomly take control of an enemy minion. So whether or not this card or that card is better, I think they're both good in their own ways. I think the death rattle was annoying to deal with, but if your opponent didn't have anything on the board, then obviously it wasn't very good. But at the time, the power level of Hearthstone was very low. But now, you know, a 6 mana 5/5 destroy an enemy minion doesn't really seem that great. Infuse 7, however, take control of an enemy minion for 6 mana seems very good. Taking control of an enemy minion, very, very good. Problem is Infuse 7. Infuse 7, that's a lot. Like, we thought Infuse 5 was a lot for, like, Artificer or something like that. So I mean, while her payoff is good, I don't know. I think she's just, I don't think it's going to be that great, to be honest. I think Infuse 7 is a lot of Infuse to ask for. So I can see that getting bumped down to like 5 eventually. 5, then she's actually kind of maybe playable in control decks. But 7, I don't think this card is playable at all. I think this is way too much of it. Like, the effect of stealing an opponent's minion is very good, like we said. But the, like, what deck could you like, besides Druid, right? Like, Druid just has so many ways to kill a bunch of stuff. But I mean, Shaman's got that new totem card, which summons a bunch of stuff, which is going to be good with like bioluminescence and infuse as well. And at the start of this expansion, I greatly undervalued infuse. Like, I didn't think it would be good at all. Like, I thought it was going to be almost impossible to get done, given the fact that we were in a meta that didn't really revolve around many minions. We were looking at Quest Mage, Quest Hunter. All those decks didn't play any minions. So I'm like, what is infuse? Infuse isn't going to do anything if no minions are really ever played, right? So we went into a meta that's definitely more board focused, but again, Infuse 7 just seems so much. And then like, the requirement is your opponent has to have a minion too. So it's not like you Infuse 7 and an Artificer is just a good card, right? You play it whether your opponent has cards on the board or not, because he draws you cards, he summons minions, and he also happens to kill stuff. But yeah, infuse cards that have a requirement beyond already being infused, that's kind of the reason, like, this needs to be infused, and your opponent has to have a minion for it to be good, instead of it just needing to be infused. Yeah, don't think Sylvanas is very good, and that makes me kind of sad. We have a new neutral legendary as well. That's going to be the Jailer. This guy is big, and the effect is kind of insane. It's a 10 mana 10/10, so very similar to Sire to Nathria's Battle Cry. Destroy your deck. For the rest of the game, your minions are immune. So as we know, the immune effect, very similar to like Raid Boss and Nixia. It can't be targeted by hero powers or spells. It doesn't take damage from stuff like Flame Strike. However, it does die to stuff like Cataclysm, Deadly Shot, things that are just like non-target, large scale, just removal do kill those immune minions, right? It's not like a Juggernaut from the Warrior quest where that card is just, you can't remove it. It is there for the rest of the game, or like the quest Warlock portal. Immune minions can be destroyed. There's just not very many cards that do it. Another one would probably be like Vaporize from Mage. That's secret, but obviously not in Standard. So an effect like this, I mean, I instantly think of Wild. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of stuff in Wild. We have, like, for example, Mal'Ganis, which makes your hero immune. So you can have an immune minion and an immune hero, which means you just never die because Mal'Ganis can't be targeted. And then you can't die because you can't be targeted because Mal'Ganis makes you immune. So you have that weird combination. You also have, like, the Mecha Cthulhu, because Mecha Cthulhu wants you to destroy your deck. So while this does cost 10 mana, I'm sure there's going to be ways to cheat this out earlier. So you get the Mecha Cthulhu and then you destroy your deck. So that could be kind of insane. Some meme decks in Standard that I think about instantly is like Naru Fireblade Warlock, where he says if you have no cards in your deck, you get to summon the portal with the Warlock, and then from there you can kind of just win through miniature imps every turn. So there's going to be a lot of funky decks that this guy fits into. While I think this guy will be probably more of a meme because, again, you are destroying your entire deck, which generally is a bad thing. Like, normally you just don't want to kill your entire deck. And then on top of that, however, a good thing though is for the rest of your game, your minions are immune, not the minions. Like, don't make the cards on the battlefield immune. So you don't need like a giant board ahead of time and then you play this guy, right? And then it makes everything immune. It's just from when you play this, then all the minions you play from then on are immune. Also, he'll be immune. So he's going to be a 10/10 immune card. So he can kind of just end games too, especially if your opponents have no taunts. Especially if you can just add more cards to your deck. So even looking at like Queen of Ashara, you could pick the card that adds 5 cards to your deck and then you draw 2. So at least you have some cards in your deck. And there's ways to copy that, or there's ways to generate more cards in your deck. So the Jailer, a very interesting effect, very powerful effect, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different meme decks and maybe even a competitive deck or two that revolves around playing this guy. But what I can tell you, if there is a good deck with this guy, having to deal with 10/10 immune cards is going to be really annoying. So the tech against this deck is going to be like Twisting Nether or something from Warlock, because that would theoretically kill the immune minions. Definitely a very powerful legendary. And then we have a couple cards here. We have a 3-mana 2/5 Secrets Can't Be Revealed, Tight-Lipped Witness. Secret decks really aren't good right now. I mean, Secret Mage we tried it at the start of the expansion. It did okay, but it's obviously not very good now that the decks have been refined. You have Secret Rogue, but Secret Rogue kind of just, again, sucks. It's just not really good enough. Kidnap is a terrible, terrible secret. If Battle Cries couldn't trigger, then it would probably be pretty good. But yeah, not good right now. So this is more of a card that's just like maybe an arena card. Maybe it gets randomly generated in some sort of situation where it does matter. But for the most part, I don't see that card being very good at all. Afterlife Attendant, 3-mana 3/4. Your infused cards also infused while in your deck, so that could be interesting. You play an infused deck, and then you have like tokens that rush into stuff, so you could play this alongside stuff in the same turn, and then make trades and infuse stuff in your deck. That's a possibility as well. But again, I don't think there's that many infused cards that you're gonna want to run this card just to possibly infuse this stuff in your deck, unless you're doing some crazy shit. But for the most part, yeah, I don't see this card again really being that good. 3-mana 3/4 though, stats are okay, so we'll have to see. But again, I don't see Afterlife Attendant being really good. And then we have the Soul Seeker, a 5-mana 3/3 battle cry. Swap this with a random minion from your opponent's deck. So this is kind of some disruption here, but for your opponent's deck instead of your opponent's hand, like Theo. So if you know your opponent is running those big combo cards, this could be pretty interesting. Again, I don't know why you would just run this card in your deck, period, other than just like in the hopes that you steal something good from your opponent. But at the same time, you have to remember that most good minions right now have some sort of battle cry. There's not very many Death Rattle minions that are good anymore. And like I said, most minions have battle cries. So like you're going to be swapping with a minion in your opponent's deck, and most of the time that card's going to have a battle cry. So you're just more so disrupting your opponent. You're not really getting ahead on the board. And like most decks right now have multiple win conditions. It's not just a singular card. So I don't know. Soul Seeker, again, seems like one of those fringe cards that we'll maybe see play in like possibly Arena, or you high roll your opponent. They happen to be playing like a big deck and you pull like Raid Boss, or you pull like a Colossal or something like that. But I do not see people actually main decking Soul Seeker. It's just too much randomness. It's not enough consistency. Some pretty interesting cards here. Overall, I think that the Sylvanas could have been a little better. But yeah, the Jailers, this is very flavorful. And then these cards so far, pretty lackluster in my opinion. Like, this is obviously going to be bad. Afterlife Attendant, obviously going to be pretty bad. And then Soul Seeker, I don't see how that card's going to be good. But they do have, I guess, a tiny bit of flavor to them. So we'll see what happens as they release more cards. Maybe there'll be secret support because secrets can't be revealed. So maybe secret decks get really good. And this is just a preemptive strike against them. So we have answers, all right? So with that, thank you guys for watching. Catch you in the next video. As always, I'm Robert Warshack, and happy whatever the hell day it is.